If you play Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction backwards, it's about a fellow who gets so arrogant with his newly acquired hero status that he portals his way into the sacred and strictly off-limits engine room of his world for an in-your-face moment with the gods, only to catch one of the higher-ups doing the dirty and have his memory gradually wiped clean until he can't even wipe his own ass and ends up living with the gypsies. Nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to see upon entering the surprisingly low-security engine room. He got there just in time to witness an archangel get greedy and pull out a fancy sword from the world's cornerstone and, to his surprise, discovered the temple is a living organism that clotted the wound left by the sword over with crystal it created from wood it has sucked from a sunken ship, but the gods, bored out of their minds, decided to build in a dead-end ditch surrounding the Worldstone right under their superior's nose. This of course made it impossible to return the sword to its rightful place. Not that it looked like the angel was going to put it back. He didn't seem to be two-faced about it. You could almost say his face was completely blank. And what does he do next? He celebrates his accomplishment by T-bowing and mumbling a prayer, just like the one you silently repeat after people sitting next to you in church when you don't know the words. He soon notices the protagonist, however, and tries to convince him to go back through the portal, telling him that he should get some rest because
no one is more deserving of a rest.
Above all else, you have earned a rest from this endless battle.
Good, the protagonist thought. It meant that his cheating on his hero exam didn't make the news in heaven yet. But seeing how the protagonist didn't seem convinced, he didn't replace his portal with one that leads to a world of surprise bad sex that will close behind him once he's on the other side. The Archangel closes it and gives him an incoherent excuse about how this giant Terra-Carat ruby will benefit his world, and then makes off with his newly acquired trophy, leaving the hero all alone with a demon who apparently made a bad drinking partner. He came into this world only to vomit all over his ancestors' carpet and was now warming his face in a pool of it while lying all passed out on the floor. Unfortunately for the protagonist, the whole ruckus was enough to wake him up, and the hero soon learned that the decency he showed by chugging all of the vomit back up with a cry of regret was not something to judge the rest of his character by, because he quickly showed himself to be way too much into tentacle hentai, acting it out in real life. From time to time, his twin brother, Ball, appears to get a piece of the action, but the other Ball wants the hero all for himself and repeatedly sends him back to hell. This world's too small to fit two balls. He also keeps embarrassing him. The one who woke up keeps repeating that his brothers didn't die in vain.
My brothers will not have died in vain.
And then his twin shows up out of nowhere, all fine and dandy, and when he pretends that he's so badass that he just pulverized his own twin brother without even flinching, he just pops up again. Sheesh. No wonder he finally decides to take back the blood he shares with it. Anyway, because the demon is the Lord of Destruction, the more damage the hero deals to him, the stronger he becomes, and after a longer while, it becomes apparent that the hero has to make a run for it. This failure and every subsequent mistake or bad choice costs him experience points, and he's literally becoming dumber. It's because he builds his life and mentality on his bad choices, mistakes and failures, which lead to even more mistakes and bad choices, and this in turn results in the equivalent of f***ing up in life so hard that you land a job equivalent to serving fries in McDonald's, driving a cab, or dancing with a broom as a janitor. On his way out, he learns that the ancients he came to pay respects to think it's all his fault and attack him. The hero has to prove his innocence by beating them so hard that their skin hardens and the blood coming from their wounds covering their bodies freezes over in this harsh mountaintop weather, making them unable to move, like statues. The hero has to go all the way back from the top of the mountain through frozen plains, ice caves, and other places where barbarian natives get a time sooner than a cold to reach the town of Harroga. He has to go through the whole trail of trials he was supposed to complete to be granted an audition with the gods, but he can't help but smile. Letting all the monsters guarding the trail see him return from the very place where they were supposed to prevent him from reaching was like taunting a guard with a bag of loot when exiting the room with a safe he was supposed to keep people away from. The monsters see how futile it is to fight what has already happened, so they just back away or play dead until he leaves the line of their sight. Soon, his flashed memory begins to take its toll because instead of being transported back into the caves, he finds himself in the bowels of a creepy BDSM torture dungeon. Just as he starts picking up valuables dropped by guys who didn't look like they're getting up anytime soon, he discovered it's all a trap. In a sort of lightning storm, the perverted dungeon owner comes back to life and soon starts animating his minions using fart gas. Even the minions that were blown to pieces pull themselves together and regenerate like Terminators. The battle seems futile because the place soon becomes crowded like a swinger's trap and it becomes increasingly harder to get to or reach Dr. Falkenstein. Then the hero comes to realize that he has no beef with the old man and that he is actually trespassing on this guy's, as despicably as he may be, property, so he decides to leave. On his way back, he can't help but notice that the female corpses chained to the walls bear a striking resemblance to a girl called Anya that lives in Harroga. For a moment, he considered going back and portal punching the shit out of his creep, but then he realized that they're just clones of an already insufferable woman and that the old man has Alzheimer's, which is why he probably forgot they were even there. And as we all know, it's not nice to blame people for their ailments and disabilities, as well as the things they do because of their influence. So he decides to forgive him. He probably doesn't remember the way out of his maze anyway. After the hero makes it through all the levels of his lair and goes out through the front door, he suddenly realizes he's standing before the edge of an abyss in the middle of a mountain in nowhere, and the only way out is through a conveniently placed portal that, because of its red color, might as well lead straight to hell. Or something worse, considering hell is only the second level in the game. It turns out the portal leads straight to Anya's shop. This means that she's either selling her body to the old man, or that she's in on the whole thing, luring girls that are his type, like the sorceress who bears a striking resemblance to Anya, into his hideout high in the mountains where no one can hear him scream. Think about it. She's the only one who knows where he lives. If you talk to her, she realizes you're onto her and hastily closes the portal. Actually, she must have sensed he'd end up nosing around Dr. Falkenstein's place, and, like the police in Minority Report, she punishes him for a crime before he even commits it, and cons him into giving her the item he's most proud of and wants to be associated with to remove the inscription and disclaim all that she said about him. You see, she's like the Yeti equivalent of a prostitute. Everyone knows she's one, but no one ever saw her do it. And if a guy pays her for naming his giant sword after him, she'll spread a rumor that the size of his sword reflects the size of his package. Do people believe it? It certainly makes them curious. And why shouldn't they believe it? If there's someone who knows anything about it, it's her. So what she basically did was let the whole town know that his package shrank. If he tried to expose himself to people to prove her claims wrong, they'd assume he's just trying to deceive them with a magical illusion. A prostitute is the only person he has no reason to impress, and that's why they're more likely to believe her than him. Shortly before he leaves, she either steals a rare, class-specific item from him, or plants it on him after he sells it to her so it will piss him off by cluttering his backpack. A short while later, he's going about his Sherpa business, that is, cleaning up all the junk mountain climbers headed for Mount Ariad's peak left behind, by stuffing it into nearby chests and dead barbarians' pants, when suddenly the young and equally undeservedly attractive Anya appears and does the most reasonable thing that one can do when stumbling upon our protagonist: trap herself from the waist down in a huge block of ice. I'd say it's her idea of training like Dragon Ball's Son Goku did in the Gravity Chamber, and she wants to make sure she won't chicken out too soon by begging protagonist take the only thing that can set her free, a potion, away from her and give it to her fiercest competition back in town. Her deal with the old man going south because word of it got out hit her pocket pretty hard, and the only other job opportunity in the tough subpolar economy was taking part in arm wrestling competitions men's wrestling competitions with men possessing biceps the size of a tree stump, because let's look at all the women in this town. There. So many women to compete with. But what's the real reason? Perhaps it was a plan to frame the heroes she somehow got backwards in the midst of carrying it out. Perhaps she and the old Nidlatak had a bondage-domination relationship that fell apart, and she was trying to replicate it by restraining herself and getting the monster Frozenstein to play the role. Or tried to commit suicide because she couldn't. Or perhaps she's a pre-technology era attention whore. She definitely fits the bill of a woman who goes for the a-hole instead of the nice guy. It's clear when you consider what she says about Lauzak, the Smith technology nerd and inventor, who, without a doubt, has the hots for her. For a moment, he hesitates to leave her there, because he either still has feelings for her, or thinks it's the wrong thing to do, but seeing how he got hero-zoned and subtly told to go fuck himself by this cold and possibly fitted woman, he uses the town portal scroll to get back to town to give the potion to a local healer who turns out to be less happy about the prospect of seeing, or at least imagining, her competition die than you might expect. As always, he doesn't stay long. He has to get back quickly, because monsters could get through the portal at any moment and slaughter everyone in town within seconds. Or worse, make them all watch every episode of Keeping Up with the Garbagians on loop for all eternity. He can't close the portal by casting it within the town's walls, because he can't cast a portal leading to where he already is. And casting it right outside of its walls would also lead to an invasion. The only way the hero can close a portal is by opening another one somewhere else or going through it and back, hence the necessity of going all the way on foot. He then returns to Anya to report back, but he soon runs out of time to listen to her complain how she's cold and has to get going. Rosenstein and his buddies wake up one by one after a drunken brawl and first try to encircle and tire him out like wolves, and then cluster around her like bodyguards who notice the reflection of a sniper's scope. What's interesting is that the monsters are like monkeys. A monkey won't do anything unless she sees another monkey do it. So ever since they saw him clean the sacred trail of junk, the monsters started picking up trash around them too. The hero goes as far as to buy items he clearly sees well made in I Don't Give a Damn Yet, and are most likely going to break on the way to the top of the mountain and end up discarded along the trail and buries them like E.T. cartridges in the desert. To his surprise, he soon discovers that the woman who showed him the cold shoulder is back in town. While it's never said openly, he gets a feeling that Mala, the town hero, had something to do with it. She probably went there herself and got her sorry butt back to town, because the last thing she wants is her suffering less in life than she does. Though she may not look like it, the old woman runs this town. She's a psychic vampire. The moment the hero speaks to her, she drains both his vital and spiritual energy. You thought the guys lying around her house are being held by her? Ha! All she does is feed on them, that's what they're for. And one would think there's something noble or heroic about the barbarians' will to die in battle, when in fact, they're scared of getting into Mala's hands. Even Lauzak regrets not being able to fight alongside his brethren, and gave people advice on how to avoid red fever by washing their hands before every meal so that they wouldn't have to be treated by her. The hero would avoid contact with her if it weren't for the fact it's an age where bloodletting with leeches was still a legit medical practice, and that he gets considerable money from selling her his blood and other body fluids in jars and vials for her shady witchcraft-related practices. The hero continues his way through more fields of snowy nothing and ice tunnels as slippery as dry concrete. Then he goes back to town to find, to his big surprise, that his old friend, the necromancer, is suddenly there, shown his place by Mala and reduced to the role of a grumpy used items peddler who buys throwaway items cheap and puts an insane price tag on them without telling the people what made him value the item more, so they get angry they lost so much money on the deal, but they buy it back only to find it the same E.T. cartridge level crap they crawled all the way to the shop. Tough luck! Guess how happy Anya must be about Frankenstein taking over her item gambling business. Larzuk says Anya never lets anyone stop her from doing what she believes in, so imagine what power Mara has to have if she's able to keep her in line. Otherwise she'd kill the doctor or get someone else to do it. Oh wait.
You must go kill him.
Sometime later, the hero saves a bunch of barbarians from certain death by locking them in wooden cages because they are too foolish enough to teleport themselves into the middle of a battlefield where they will easily get surrounded, and then leaves them there. The barbarians locked in cages are the only living creatures on the battlefield. The monsters don't attack but can be killed. The monsters consider having barbarians locked in cages their own success and are so thrilled by it that they even sustain the lives of the prisoners long enough for Bale to return and pat her on their backs. Because the demons feed them whatever they happen to find on the battlefield, mostly their dead comrades, they can survive it for years. Despite this being such a great idea, the barbarian leader, Pelkak, doesn't seem to be pleased with it. In fact, he's so pissed off at you because of it that he takes back all the runes he's given you and strips you of the ability to recruit any of his men. The hero then walks down some stairs and encounters some seemingly dead monsters who come back to life liquid metal Terminator style. Among them is a demon in charge of leading the siege of Haraga, who is equal parts obsessed with shoving Murder King burgers down his throat, as he is with sporting his Sadomaso outfit and wielding a whip. His minions soon began to circle and dance around him while living catapults were shooting balls of colorful light into the sky, putting up a great Broadway-esque show for him he was so impressed with he couldn't take his eyes off it. The tensions between the hero and Larzuk, who sees him as a competing suitor, increase, and he takes away an item from him and hammers the sockets in it shut, mumbling, "Deserve neither Miss Holt nor Agnes," under his breath. As a reward for nearly getting his genitals bitten off by a rabid frostbite or growing an internal ice cycle in his butt, he gets sent to a warmer place, to hell. Because everything works backwards in hell, you get teleported right to the bosses, that is Diablo's lair, who, upon seeing you either with his butt or with his vacant eyes, depending on the location of the portal, comes back to life in the most wimpy, unintimidating way possible. The trick to fighting him is stepping into the fireways and streams that he creates by sucking the heat out of the air, because they heal you, and defeating him like Tibetan monks with non-violence. Actually, the more you show him that he could have attacked but didn't, because you wanted to show him the power of mercy, love and non-violence, the faster you'll defeat him, because he won't be able to feed on your negative feelings. After you've non-violenced the shit out of him, he'll creep into the middle of the anti-cathedral, or whatever it is, and disappear in fire. Then you'll have to close 3 seals. Now all the monsters in this anti-church will feel such fear-filled respect for you that they'll come back to life only to move their corpses out of your way. Well, maybe except our Spectre type enemy. When he's low on health, he likes to chill in the middle of a lava pool and attacks you like a retarded boob. In Mario games, boos move towards you and attack you when you turn your back on them. This Spectre flies backwards towards you. Luckily, if you show him enough love and upward sword swinging, he'll return to his second favorite pastime, being stuck in walls. While traversing hell, the hero comes across some tormented souls and pokes each and every one of them to see if they're by any chance the bullies that gave him a hard time during hero school, and to make sure they stay conscious while getting their just desserts. Seeing how Nithatak was spat out of hell when the hero got into his lair, Hell must have gotten wind of his massive kitten and let him suffer on Earth instead of fondling him with the torture chamber's equipment. The hero thought that he must have had something in common with that old man, because Hell also didn't want to keep him, seeing how all the demons just backed away when he approached him. And he was right. What's the point of a punishment if he'd forget he ever felt any pain mere moment later? If you want to know how quickly his memory loss was progressing, just look at the map. The Fog of War shows he barely remembers places he was mere seconds ago. Later, he encounters the corpse of something he had never seen before, and his first reaction is to post it with some random shit out of his backpack, to take mental images of it and post it to social networking sites. But then, the creature wakes up, takes away his stuff, and the hero spends what seems like hours on trying to get the demon to give it back. Resigned, he then backs away and leaves the demon alone. He then comes to Tyrael, and for the great courage he had shown during the Sissy fight, he's awarded by having 2 of his skill levels taken away. Actually, this happened just before he started fooling around with the body of Tyrael's former colleague, because Tyrael, as an angel, could see into the future and saw him getting cocky with his mad skill and wiping himself out of the gym pool. so he took him away as a precaution. Sure, the hero quickly noticed that something's gone missing, but his condition didn't make him really capable of holding grudges. Tyrael soon gets so fed up with the hero buying their own weapons and leaving them lying around for their sworn demonic enemies to pick up, and putting them under the risk of having their own steel shoved down their throats, that he sends them away through a portal. And what do you know? He finds himself in another creepy-ass torture dungeon. He takes a few steps forward because it's so goddamn dark in there, and the whole bridge of bodies starts collapsing behind him. Oh, he rightly thought, seeing another big demon rise from whatever it is, that demon's goat man. This time, Tyrael was seriously trying to kill him, he thought shortly before reverting back into planning to have a round of golf with him and other merry enjoyments. He starts fending off the demon, but soon comes to feel sorry for him, seeing that he's been cursed with not being able to hold warmth. That's why he drains all the cold from around him and drains heat and energy from him in the form of lightning bolts. That also explains the dead bodies. He tried to warm himself with Verkashi-related bits, but when they turned uncooperative, like all humans dipped in the Arctic Ocean do, he took baths in the still steaming blood. After some time, he apparently had enough and just floated around between the pillars without doing anything. So the hero decided to make himself scarce, but not before resuscitating some of his demonic bodies, so he wouldn't feel lonely. Surprisingly enough, some of them started backing away to where they thought the big one, Mephasto, was, to see if he's okay. Touched by how their company cared for each other, he made his way out of the demon's lair and sealed the only exit, so no one would bother them ever again. The key to the only exit turned out to be the best key one could ever hope to have, one that opened basically every lock, a biggest flail. He put the key into his trusty Horodric cube, the one ancients used to transform nagging hags or man-babies their spouses turned into the instant they got married and didn't have to pretend anymore. And it soon proved to put Rusty back into Trusty as it spontaneously decided to turn into a blender. So after it had its way with the flail, it turned it into all the things to lose in a marriage, heart-minded side of any better future. It's no wonder the only entrance to this lair, also called Durance, leads through an altar. He was pretty sure these parts will soon start to smell, attract attention, and make people ask a lot of uncomfortable questions, like where do babies come from? So he hid them in places that were least likely to alert the poor chap's soul that something's off and disturb his eternal peace. He put them into a spider cave, a dungeon under a swamp filled with annoying child-sized monsters with huge kitchen knives, and all sewers, all the places that looked like his good old marriage. Because their postal office, located in Upper Kurast, is for the time being overrun by evil walking trees, mosquito swarms carrying around blasted swords, and zealots who are zealous up until the point they'll get their butts kicked into their skulls and start to run away. People of Kurast are oblivious of what happens to their stuff once they borrow it to the hero. They remind him of the items and their significance once or twice, but once they see they have to introduce themselves to him again, they just give up. Predictably, he never gets it back and f***s up to Neverland or some shit. After arriving in the deserted Ludgolain, he finds a conveniently open portal, which he enters. To his surprise, he finds Tyrael there, who promptly closes the portal behind him. Sensing he didn't choose this deserted and secluded place without a reason, he traps Tyrael in this godforsaken tomb forever, probably by tying his shoelaces together while pretending to tie his own, and makes a run for it, wakes up a demon so it would guard him, and seals the entrance. Apparently, you've got a massive problem on your hands if people start sending Tyrael prayers with a mental note saying that he gets the other half of the prayer after the hero falls off the face of the earth and chokes on the void in space. We can assume the hero's plan worked because that's the last we ever see of Tyrael. Defeated by his own stupid armor design, he's not able to bow down or kneel in. After putting the Archangel forever out of his life, the hero begins to search for a new meaning in life. He starts a maggot farm, and earlier helps the Snake People cult exercise their right to religious freedom by covering the sun for a short while because fuck the sun. Even though the sun gets covered only for a short while, the primitive people of Ludgolain still want to kill them for it. Apparently, it hurt their crops, And that's why I never played the game normally, because religious oppression. The Sand People had enough sun already anyway. The hero punishes the bigots in this town by waking up an ancient flesh-eating corpse. The ancients hoped to give magical powers by sewing animal parts to it. While it may cruel today, the following generations would come to appreciate this sophisticated way of controlling population, since oriental countries like Ludgolane aren't known for keeping their offspring down to prime numbers. This also teaches the vengeful Atma a lesson that vengeance is not the way. The monster surely had its reasons in eating both her husband and son, political differences for example. They supported getting him killed, while he didn't support getting himself killed. You know it's personal when the monster comes to your house in the cool of the desert night to cherry-pick your family members out of their beds personally, like veal in the meat section of a local supermarket. Then the hero takes the caravan to some grassy plains which don't even have an official name. Knowing that Warif, the caravan owner, won't keep his mouth shut, he uses him to spread a rumor among the rogues that he's so powerful that he has to give himself increasing challenges, use weaker weapons, less armor, etc. Surprisingly enough, the corrupted rogues spread this rumor further among other monsters, and they play along. They make themselves as undesirable targets as possible and make the fights with them the most boring thing ever. They run away, play dead, heal the hero, replenish his mana, etc, etc. To prevent this, the hero has to stack upon various potions. Some poison him, some freeze his flesh and slow him down, some drain his hit points, some drain his spiritual energy like listening to Justin Bieber talk. Some make him run like he has his pants down, but that doesn't help in the long run. As you can tell, this game quickly turns into a survival horror game. In some survival horror games, monsters suddenly rise to their feet to attack you, but here they run away from you with your experience. This game tests you in how much you'll endure through the increasingly challenging challenges. Much like a drinker who seeks to vomit out the good food he had, the hero seeks new thrills he can immediately forget. He enters a town in the middle of being turned into a giant smoking smelling of burnt wood of a flash lighthouse, which is a staple in any self-respecting RPG game. After repelling the undead with several pretend strikes that look like exorcisms, he comes across an old man coming to this town through a portal. The portal he opened was the only way in, so it's clear that this dude is hiding something and is probably the one who lit the town on fire. As we all know, perpetrators often return to the scene of the crime. Why else would he walk backwards as if fearing someone will follow him? Being the just fellow that the hero is, he grabs the old man by his surprise, puts him in a cage, lifts it up, and leaves him there to rot, despite his cries for help, but not before shouting, "Die!" or "Flee!" or "This is for you!" Okay. Then, the hero is tasked with beating the shit out of the corpse of a corrupted rogue, so that he'll piss her off so much that she'll wake up from her eternal corpse sleep and starts to revive the corpses of the fallen sisters again, because they make great target practice. After leaving Bloodraven the cemetery all to herself, you meet a rogue so butthurt about her sisters underestimating her and making her guard a passage between the lowest and second lowest challenging area, that she grumpily remarks that you should gain more experience before proceeding, even for you single-handedly lured the Lord of Terror to eternal sleep. In fact, she's so insignificant that even the monsters ignore her. To them, she's like that kid you played hide-and-seek with and sought for hours to find it went straight home just before you were finished counting without telling you. The game ends with the protagonist settling down in a very small all-female rogue camp, not regretting his skills getting rusty out of lack of opportunities to use them, since the eventual onset of Alzheimer's would make him forget them anyway. Since it's a sisterhood, everyone's unequal, so it was necessary he forgot all of his skills except the gayest ones and lose all the experience under his belt anyway. Otherwise, he'd end up like that one rogue, shunned for being slightly better and made to guard a shitty passage day and night in rain and thunder.
Rain and thunder, wind and haze.
But he doesn't care, he knows he retires a legend. The hero feels safe among the rogues because he has no money or valuable equipment they could steal from him. Then he dies off screen and he gets to choose who he gets to reincarnate as next, but only to relive a basically identical life. This is why the hero is not afraid of hell. The torment of repeating a life is the real hell in this case. Memory loss is not the only serious subject this game touches upon. Repeating pointless tasks again and again is a metaphor for the difficult matter of professional burnout and a loss of motivation or purpose in life. If you talk to her, she realizes you're into the whole cleaning up all the young mountain climbers headed for Mount Ariyat's peak, left behind by stuffing it into nearby chests.
My name's Deckard Cain, and I come from Tristram. If you're looking for Diablo, then you just missed him.
Or tried to commit suicide because he couldn't.
If you find old Griswold, then you can take him down, but you'll get no reward till you come back to town.
Perhaps it was a plan to flame.
Thanks for my life. I'll identify your stuff, but if you choose to journey on, then it's gonna get tough.
She definitely beats fit. For a moment, she hesitates to lay.
Greetings, friend. Here's the road to the east. You'll find that it's blocked, cause Andario's a beast.
For a moment, he hesitates to leave her there because she.
Greetings.
Because he either still has feeling for her.
Greetings. Stay a while and listen.
And has to get going.
Charcy can shield you if you have a lot of cash. If you're all out of room, you can stick it in your stash.
And frustrated.
My name is Deckard Cain, and I've come on out to greet you. So sit your ass and listen, or I'm gonna have to beat you.
Though she may not look like it, the old man.
If I don't know the answer, then go ask Mala. She's a funky little broad that looks like a koala.
He buys throwaway items cheap, without pet.
My homies were destroyed, but I carry on with the help of young Anya, who's no Amazon.
Lazark says Anya never failed.
Greetings. Can't touch this. 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 Greetings. Stay a while and listen.
Lazark says Anya barbarians.
My name is Deckard Cain. I'm the last of a breed. When I give out a warning, you'd best take heed.
But he takes back all the runes he's getting.
I am the sworn enemy of Big Bad Bale. He was first in line at the evil sale.
While living catapults should boss.
Even though I'm ancient and somewhat of a relic, people tell me I look like Tom Selleck. I'm nasty, I'm old, and a little bit ornery. I look like Patrick Stewart and sound like Sean Connery.
The tensions between the ship.
Greetings. Throw your hands in the air. Wave them like you just don't care. Greetings. Stay a while and listen.
As a reward for nearly getting his genitals blown off, you get teleported right to the pub.
Way to go, homies. That was dope.
And in them,
We'll have to do this more often. That was way fat.
that he creates by sucking the shit out of the air.
Yeah, boy. Kane in a house.
Because they hear you. And defeating him
Give it up for the Horodrim.
with 9 violence and disappear on fire.
Horodrim. 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 Horodrim.
He likes to children.
Who let the barbarians out? Who?
Boo's mouth. In the Mario games, because Hela also didn't want to kill me. Because Hela also. And the heroes beats what. And saw him getting cocky with his magic. And saw him getting cocky with his magic skills and wiping himself. And what do you know? He finds himself in another creepy ass dungeon. He finds himself in another creepy ass dungeon. And what do you know? He finds himself in another creepy. It turned into heart, mind, inside of anybody future. Attract attention and make people bastards was. He traps Tyrael in this godforsaken town, probably by trying his not able, and Irler helps us because fucker by waking up an ancient flesh. Since Oriental countries use Wicca, they make themselves as undesirable tigers, and make the fights with them the most boring thing ever. Some drain his spiritual energy like this, and some make him run like he has his pants down. But that doesn't help in the long run. Monsters suddenly. But here they just run away from you with your experience. This game tests you in how much you will endure through the chrysaling. This game tests you in how much you will endure through the chrysaling challenge. This game tests you. Why else would he walk backwards as if fearing someone will follow him? Because they make great tiger and made to guard up Shady Passage day and night in rain and thunder. But he doesn't care. He knows who the trials are learning. It's a metaphor for the